नमः सुन्दरनाथाय तस्मै हालास्य वासिने चतुष्षष्टि विधालीला येनाकारि भुवस्तले श्रीमत्सुन्दरनाथस्य देवीं शफरलोचनां कलये हृदये नित्यं कदम्ब वनवासिनीं पूतं स्वतः पूततरं ततो यद्गाङ्गम्पयः शङ्करमौळिसङ्गात् तत्पातु मातुः प्रणयापराधपादाहते पूततमं ततो नः स कदम्बवनं प्राप्य सन्ददर्श महाद्भुतं हैमप्राकारसम्पादम् ऐन्द्रं धाम महेशितुः स दृष्ट्वा साम्बमीशानं सम्प्रार्थ्य च गणाधिपं न्ययुङ्क्तशिल्पिनो दक्षान् निर्मित्सुः नगरं नृपः सर्वे ते विश्वकर्माणः सर्वे कुशलतामयाः समेत्य मन्त्रयाञ्चक्रुः शिल्पिनः पुरकर्मणि. Parameshwara came in the form of a siddha in the dream of Kulashekara. So Parameshwaraha iti tatra, as an identification. What is the identification or the chinnam that he understood that it was Parameshwara? Prathamam tu, he had a jata, pinga jata bharaha, right? So jata jutam is the hallmark of Parameshwara here. And there was also a crescent moon on his head. He took it as the king took it as a sign from that it could be the grace or anugraham of Parameshwara. Shambhoho eva anugraham iti nischitya saha Kadambavanam prati gataha. He went with his Antapurajana and relatives. So Kulashekara Pandya started going towards the forest. As he reached the forest, Sa Kadambavanam Prapya, Maha Adbhutam Sandadarsha. He saw a great surprising thing in front of him. That is, it was a wonderful place of Parameshwara, Maheshituhu Maha Adbhutam Dama, and it was surrounded by Hema Prakaram. Then he saw Parameshwara along with Shakti and Shiva, and then Ganadhipa, Ganeshwara also. And he did a prarthana to them. He worshipped them. He prayed to them because he wanted Nirvighena Parisamaptyartham iti. We always start off with praying to Ganesha so that there are no obstacles in our pathway. The king also did the same thing, and he appointed a lot of expert architects in this process. That is, as dictated by Parameshwara, who had come in the form of a Siddha Purusha in his dream, and he had dictated that this forest has to be changed into a city, and Kulashekara Pandya has to rule staying in that city. So he appointed, now Kulashekara Pandya also appointed a lot of architects who were Sakshat Vishwakarma. They were just experts or expertise personified. They had so much of talent in them that they all combined Sametya, Mantrayanchakruhu. They started consulting about and discussing about the Purakarma, city work. How to start about the construction of this work and what sort of a work it should be. See, all of them, you have read so many theory books in your life, and now is the time to put it in practice. If you're already in an established city, then all the tasks that you are given are probably just one house to build or one, just reconstructing the bathroom. These are all the things that probably they will get. They won't have the opportunity to build an entire city from scratch. Now, they were all excited. It's natural, right? In the more than repair work, if you are given something to do right from putting on a design and building it and bringing it to life, there is more excitement involved than tearing down something or just in the that is probably what they've been doing all along, and now is the time to put their theory into practice. So they all came together and started discussing. When there are just two experts arguing, there will be discussing, let's say, not argue. When they are discussing, there will definitely be too many opinions. Now imagine he has appointed one full panel of architects. So how many opinions would come there? Nilakanta Dikshita just gives one small view about description about how it was. Swastikam, we start with the 83rd shloka today. Swastikam sarvato bhadram, mandalam dirghavrittakam, nirmitsamanaha nagaram te vipravadishuhu mithaha. Vipra-avadishuhu mithaha. So, with each other, Vipravadamna, it is like a argument or contradictory arguments that each one comes about, and this is like more than a discussion. It was also an argument here. Slowly, it will just move into that argument level. It will start off as a discussion, and then it will move into an argument. Then I had an uncle who said, whenever I started talking, he would say, you know, if it is an argument, you win. Let's start discussing. It's usually if it is an argument, there is a point of whether I win or you win on the win-loss. We will take it as a discussion here more than an argument, because they were all experts at the same time. They wanted to give in their opinion also. So they were trying to figure out how to build the city. How should it be expanded? In what method it should be done? Swastikam, Sarvato Bhadram, Mandalam, Dirghavrittakam, Iti Nagaram Nirmitsamanaha Te. Te ityukte Shilpinaha. All those Shilpis, that is the architects who wanted to build the city. Nagaram Nirmitsamanaha. Nirmitsamanaha, Nirmatum Ishtamanaha. They were wishing to build this city. Mithaha, parasparam, with each other, vipravadishuhu. This is in lung lakara, kartari lung, vadu dhatoho. So they were constantly discussing back and forth amongst each other, mithaha, in order to build this city. What were they discussing? The first line is actually the words that come out of their mouth, which are all technical words. Okay, so swastikam and sarvato bhadram are the house structure. Say, when you are building a city in neighborhoods, in living in the US, we understand that, when there are neighborhoods, there are some rules that are associated with the neighborhood. That is, your front should be like this, your colors should be like this, the windows colors should be like this, the pattern of the window should be. The city sets the rules. So if you are building a new place for yourself, then you have to follow the rules that are already there. Which is there, you'll have to go with the architect and the blueprint that they have already submitted in the city, and then try to build your house according to that. So here also there are some technical terms that these architects are using, which is Sarvato Bhadra and Swastikam. These are the types of houses. So you will have a row of houses. Even in the 1600s, 1700s, or 1800s, you have these villages which are divided into streets. That was according to caste. But for all practical purposes, I think it represented the wealth also of the people who were there. So if you had more wealth, you could build bigger houses with more aeration and all that. So we had this Agrahara Teru, Anda Teru, Indu Teru, you had these streets in the villages which were divided according to the caste before. But it's also a representation of the economic stability of those people. Here, the Vastu Shastra or Brihat Samhita is Varaha Mihira's work, and in that you have these definitions. There are other texts also which give the definitions for this. Sarvato Bhadram, Swastikam, etc. are houses which are built on based on Vastu. So the definition he gives for that is Sarvato Bhadram is a economically higher people used to build houses like that, which is Nripa Vibudha, that is kings or scholars and people who had more money would spend a lot of this thing. Imagine those Chettinad kinds of houses in Karakudi and all that, where there are open verandas and long hallways which have access to the hall and access outside everywhere. So there will be, that is the sort of house which was called Sarvato Bhadram. Apratishidha Alindam Samantato Vastu Sarvato Bhadram Nripa vibudha samohanam karyam dwaraihi chaturbhirapi. Chaturbhirapi dwaraihi nripa vibudha samohanam vastu karyam. Vastu is a house which is based on Vastu Shastram. So a house should be built for the kings and scholars, Vibudha, which is Amatyas or any court people. Rajya sambandhinaha ye vartante yesham tu haste adhikam dhanam vartate tesham griham. So those who have a lot of money, right? So nripa vibudha samohanam vastu griham apratishidha alindam. Alindam is the courtyard, அதாவது இந்த veranda. No, the veranda which is not obstructed at all. See, if you look at the apartments today, there are verandas where you grill up completely for security and all that. We are talking about some ancient times here. So even now there are some houses where the verandas are just open. The தட்டி போட்டிருப்பா, அதாவது யூ ஹாவ் தீஸ் பாய் மாதிரி சில ஸ்கிரீன்ஸ் இருக்கும் தெரியுமா, தட்டியும் போத. ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி தட் இஸ் தி ஒன்லி ப்ரொடெக்ஷன் தட் யூ வுட் ஹாவ். தோஸ் ஸ்கிரீன்ஸ், தேர் வுட் பி சம் மேட் ஸ்கிரீன்ஸ் which will be used, and then when it is rainy, so that the water doesn't come in, and then when the rain stops they will open it up. So it's like even Kerala style houses are like that. You will find the house is just very small, but then the veranda will be also part of the houses. So chaturbihi dwaraihi karyam, all four sides you will have doors opening out into the veranda. This is called sarvato bhadram. The word itself is an anvarthanama here. Sarvataha, on all sides it is bhadram, that is, it is auspicious. Auspicious, you are connected with nature immediately. It feels very nice to you when you go to a house which is open on all sides and you are enjoying the nature there. That is why you feel one with the nature, and so it is bhadram. It is very beneficial to us to stay in a house like that. Not everybody can afford such houses, but that was one type of house. The other is swastikam. अपरः अंतर्गतः अलिन्दः प्राग अंतगतौ तदुत्थितौ च अन्यौ तद अवधि विधृतः च अन्यः प्राग्द्वारं स्वस्तिके शुभदम्. Swastika is another type of construction where the house has a dwaram, pragdwaram. It has an entrance on the eastern side, and then it has an alindaha, aparaha, antagataha. Antagataha, it is connected with the veranda. Prag antagataha, on the eastern side. Tad uttitau cha anyau. There are also two on the southern side and the western side. So there are totally only 3 verandas. One side doesn't have a veranda here. There is a veranda on the eastern side and 2 parallel outer verandas which is on the southern side. Adavadhu it north, east, south, இதெல்லாம் ஒரு kind of construction. It's very tough to visualize today and understand it also. I'm trying as much as possible to give you a picture here, that's all. It has an entrance in the eastern side. So this is called a swastikam. Adavadhu you should imagine how the swastika number eludariche, there is only one way to write it. When you write the swastika, it is a connected veranda. It's not opened out on all sides, but there is a connection there from one side to another side with an entrance on one side. Although just as how you write the swastika, it's not a square where everywhere it is open. Andamari illiye. So there is from one side you can only connect to the opposite side. From the other side you can connect to its opposite side. So you imagine that only one side you can pradakshinamavo illana apradakshinamavo. That's how it will be connected. So it says from east you go to north and then west. So that's the way you go. Apradakshinam nanekare, something like that. So aparaha antagataha alindaha praga antato. This is another type of house with verandas, which have verandas only on 3 sides, not on all 4 sides, and there is an entrance on the east. The next is mandalam. Mandalam and Dirgha Vrittakam do not have any definitions in this Brihat Samhita, but there is the way we can understand it is through temple architecture. And in the temple architecture, Mandalam and Dirghavritam are shapes that are given for Vimana construction and the Garbhagraham construction. From there, we can extrapolate and say that because this is a temple and they are trying to build around the temple, they were thinking of how to expand the city from the temple. Because thinking about the construction in Madurai today, it is centered around the temple. Eppadi ponalo, the suburb has grown with the focal point as the Madurai Meenakshi temple. From there, everything has expanded in a way that just as how we say all roads lead to Rome, Madurai Pona, all roads lead to Meenakshi temple. You go there, you stay there, and you ask someone, where is the temple? How do I go? Oh, just go straight and left temple, straight and right temple. Everywhere, that is the only direction that they will give you. Because you will see the Gopuram there, and as you look at the Gopuram and walk, you will automatically reach. Because the city has expanded from the this thing as the center point. Kovil temple as the center point here. So they were thinking about how to construct the city from the temple. So probably they were looking at a round construction, which is mandalam. Mandalam is vrittam, round, or dirgha vrittam. Dirgha vrittam na an elongated circle. So elongated circle is an ellipse. Some constructions in the temples, if you see, it is a sort of a vrittam, round construction. Even though the prakarams are square, you know that the square can be fitted into a circle. In basic mathematics, you know that a square will perfectly fit into a circle, but if it is a rectangle, it will only fit into a dirgha vrittam or an ellipse. Yeah. So dirgha vrittakam is an ellipse here. So a temple can be in a rectangular shape or a square shape. So the city can expand based on that. So it can either expand in a round fashion, in a circular fashion, or in an elliptical fashion. Priyartha. So those are the two things that they were discussing. One is with respect to singular houses, whether they should be constructed with a swastika pattern or a sarvadobhadra pattern, or with respect to the entire city on a holistic way, they were looking at whether to expand the city in a circular fashion or in an elliptical fashion. These were the discussions that were going on among the architects. Swastikam sarvatobhadram, mandalam dirghavrittakam, nirmitsamanaha nagaram te vipravadishuhu mithaha. Okay. On to the next one. Now, as they were discussing, suddenly the Siddha Purusha who came to Kulashekara's dream, he appeared as one of the architect and he took on. See, when a lot of people are discussing like this, one expert will say, you know what, let's get down to starting the work. This is what I think we have to do, and done. So, and the Madri, when there is a person of authority who comes and says something among people who are all discussing, the person with the loudest voice and with the most authoritative voice, sometimes the charisma is such that you won't feel like contradicting that person at all. Even though sometimes you feel, no, maybe what he was saying was wrong. But then you will be overpowered by the charisma of that person, that personality of him, that you will automatically the boom boom madri Monday yes you know, such a person would always exist among experts. So and automatically the others will follow that person. Tatha atrapi asiditi shilpishu ekaiva agatya siddhaha swapnaikshitah puraha idi kartavyatam tesham upadikshat prabhoh puraha. Even though the king was present there, so you naturally, usually, it is the king who takes the final decision. Yeah, you may have discussions, but the final decision will be taken by only one person. Usually, it will be the person who gives the money. right? Who's the sponsorer? Always, there may be many people, the sponsorer might like one person's opinion, so he will take on that, and that decision, the final decision will lie on that person. Here the sponsorer is the king. But then the thing is Prabhov Puraha. Even though it was in front of that king, Shilpishu ekaha iva agatya siddhaha swapna ikshitaha. Swapne ikshitaha, swapna ikshitaha, purushaha. कुलशेखरस्य स्वप्ने यः आगतः स एव सिद्धपुरुषः अधुना साक्षात् आगत्य. The same Siddhapurusha appeared in front of them as if he was one among the architects. Shilpeshu ekaha iva agatya. It's like an not you can say it is a kind of an utpreksha, but I don't want to reduce it as an utpreksha. No, because utpreksha is something that is an imagination of the poet. But this is something that happened really. And Parameshwara is the best among all the Shilpis. He has all of, you read Rudram and Chamakam, there is nothing in the world that has not been mentioned inside that. He is everything. Shilpi, he is the best architect. He is Vishwakarma. So he is of the form of everything in this world. Right? So Shilpishu, as if he was among, it is like a Vakyalankharam here. It is not, Tamil la it's very easy to say. Vandapla, அந்த சிற்பிகளுக்கு நடுவுல ஒருத்தனா வந்தாப்புல இருந்தாரு அப்படிங்கறச்சே, it is the truth. But at the same time, you're using the word pola, iva. It was as if he was one of, but he is also one among them and beyond them. That is the truth. Right? Shilpishu ekaha iva siddhaha saha, siddhapurushaha, the ascetic who was seen in the dream, swapna ikshitaha siddhaha, shilpeshu ekaha iva, as if he was one of the architects, puraha agatya, he came forward. If you are going to thrust your opinion, or if you are going to force your opinion upon others, saying, enough of all this discussion, this is what we are going to follow. There is a format for it, right? Puraha agatya. He comes in front of all of them. He appeared forward and advised them. Adikshat. What did he advise? Tesham iti kartavyatam adikshat. Upadikshat. Upadikshat is upadishati upadikshat. Okay, this is in again lunglakara. So upadikshat or ashasat upadishati sma. He gave the advice. He advised them on iti kartavyata. Iti kartavyata ityukte evam prakarena eva sarvam kartavyam nirmana karyam iti nirmana ritim saha upadishati sma. So he told them the process or method of construction. The punchline is at the end. Prabhov Puraha. In the king's presence. That is, the king did not say anything at all. Why didn't he say anything is explained in the next shloka. Shilpishu eka iva agatya siddhaha swapnekshitah puraha iti kartavyatam tesham upadikshat prabhov puraha. Swapna darshana samvadi tadrupam tasya chintayan yavad dadarshan nripatihi tavad antaradattasa. The king saw that the rupam was very similar to the one he saw in the dream. Let me start the shloka again. Swapna dadi tadrupam tasya chintayan yavad dadarshan nripatihi tavad antaradhatta saha. Okay. Swapna darshana samvadi tadrupam. Tadrupam tasya rupam. So first, the earlier shloka was about Nilakanta Dikshita's perception, because he is writing the kavyam and he can give the situation there. Now this one, this second shloka, the 85th shloka, is where the king realizes that it is the same form. That is why he kept quiet. Otherwise, he would have also said, I am the king, I am the sponsorer, you have to listen to me. But that did not happen here. Swapna darshana samvadi tadrupam. Tasya tadrupam swapna darshana samvadi. Samvadi is sadrisha. Samvadate. that which is speaking the same language. So which means it is sadrisham ityartha. So samvadina sadrisham. That swapna darshana, swapne darshanena ikshita rupena samvadi sadrisham. Tad rupam tasya rupam. Jata, Chandra Jata Juta, Dhara Akriti Rupam Tasya, Siddha Purushasya, iti Chintayan. He thought that this was the same form which was similar to, or which was the same form that he saw in his dream as he was thinking thus. So, Yavat Nripatihi Dadarsha. Just as the Yavat itukte Yada Nripatihi Dadarsha, as the king saw that the form, saw him, and he was also thinking that, oh, this is the same form that I saw in my dream. This is that Siddha Purusha. As he was thinking in this manner, Tavat Tadaeva Antaradhatta Saha. Saha Siddha Purushaha Antaradhatta Tiro Babhuva. He completely disappeared. So this is the Leela here. See, Madhura, everywhere we need the presence of Parameshwara, either directly or in an anugraha form. If you look at the Airavata Leela, there his anugraham and in the Indra Shapa Nirmochanam, it is the presence of Parameshwara's temple and that Achamurti that relieved them of their papam. Here Parameshwara appears directly, but in the form of a Siddha Purusha. Okay, there he did not show himself. He only showed himself as Shiva himself to do the anugraham. Here he comes as one among the people and advises them. It is Kulashekara Pandya who realizes that it is the same person because his form is the same. So, Swapna Darshana Samvadi Tadrupam Tasya Chintayan Yavat Dadarshan Rapatihi Tavat Antaradhatta Saha. Pashyan anugraham shambhoho swapna jagarayoho samam utsehe satu bhuyopi parthivaha purakarmani. He realized that and he saw, Pashyan, he understood. Pashyan ityukte tatra avagacchanneva. He understood that it was the anugraham of Parameshwara. Shambhoho anugraham. The anugraham of Shambhu is the same whether it was in the dream or it was during the waking state. In both state, he realized Parameshwara's anugraham, prasadam. So, Shambhoho anugraham, swapna jagarayoho samam pashyan. Samam, it to be the same. Kutra, swapne jagarecha. Both in the dream state and in the waking state, the king saw that Parameshwara's anugraham was the same. Because he said the same thing in the dream. He said, I have been staying in this vanam, forest for a long time with all these wild animals. I want a city and I want to live with people now. Right? So as soon as this discussion was happening, there he appeared like an architect and he said the same thing, proceed in this manner. This is the blueprint on how to construct the city. So it was the same and the form was also the same. So he realized and he understood that it was Parameshwara's Sakshat Anugraham. And he started engaging himself in the city work. That is Pura Karmani Bhuyaha Api. Again, you don't take it as punaha api. He was already involved, now he did not involved. As soon as he had made the decision to construct this city, and as soon as he had started from his palace earlier, the work had started. Now he again physically entered into the work properly after the print. The moment you decide, sankalpa matrena eva tatra karyam arabdham. The moment you make a decision to do something, the work has started. The next work is to put the pen on the paper. Right? That is the second step. So that is what he means by bhuyaha api. Not that he had constructed, he had started the construction and the construction was halfway stopped and all that. Tatha nasti. Atratu sankalpa matrena manasi prathamam tatra asit tadanantaram shariraka rupena it had to be started. So bhuyaha api. Again, he engaged utsehe, utsaham akarot prayatata. He started or engaged himself in this pura karmani, in the city work. Nagara nirmana karye saha yatnam akarot. Clear? Pashyan anugraham shambhoho swapna jagarayoho samam utsehe satu bhuyo api parthivaha pura karmani. This is all there both in Tiruvilayadal Puranam, Tamil, and in the Halasya Mahatmyam. Not taking much of the references from there, but you can look at it. Avitad vipinam sandram ajnata aloka sankatham shasanat pandya nripatehe jatam jangalavat kshanat. Tadvipinam. He had started the work. So the first thing is to remove all the trees. You know, when you hear that, sometimes you feel it is a horrendous to think about removing all those trees and just reducing one entire forest into a desert. That's what he says here. He completely removed all those trees and made it into a desert. But it was Parameshwara's decision also. And as a compensation, see, this is like you know, on the idu madri sine curve, it'll go up and down. You can't geographically also, if you see, world over, one place is reduced to a desert, there will be another place which becomes a forest. It's the balance that this earth maintains, and it is a natural balance that keeps happening, right? Now, sandram ajnata aloka sankatham tat vipinam api pandya nripatehe shasanat kshanat jangalavat jatam. Tat vipinam, tat kananam, that forest which did not know, which did not have even we did not speak of light at all. Ajnata aloka sankatham. It was so thick. Sandram itukte gahanam. That forest was extremely thick that it did not even speak about light. Aloka sankathana bhashanam, paribhashanam, ajnatam, yasmin vane tadrisham vanam. Abdina aloka Tamil expression. He has just completely changed the Tamil expression to Sanskritam here. That's the regional language influence here. அதாவது வந்து வெளிச்சத்தோட பேச்சே இல்லைங்கிறோமோ இல்லையோ, அந்த எக்ஸ்பிரஷனை அப்படியே he has converted it into Sanskritam. வெளிச்சத்தோட பேச்சே இல்லை. There was no talk of light at all, which means light could not even enter into that forest. The forest was so thick. Ajnata aloka sankatham. Yasya yatra vane ajnata aloka sankatha. The stalk of light was unknown in that forest. That is, Prakasham could not even enter into that forest. Tadrisham tadvanam vipinam Pandyan Nripatehe Shasanat, by the orders of Pandyan Nripati, by the orders of that Pandya king Kulashekara, Kshanat, within a moment, quickly, it was reduced to a desert. Jangalavat abhut jatam. It became like a Jangala Pradesha. The Jangalangarthukku vandu, so there are two definitions, one in Shabdakalpadruma, and there is another work called Nighantu, Bhava Prakasha Nighantu, where also you will find the definition of this word Jangala Deshaha. So in Shabdakalpadruma it says Swalpa Udakatranaha Yahatu Pravataha Prachura Atapaha Sagnyayah Jangalodeshaha Bahu Dhanyadi Samyutaha. That is Krishi Pradhanaha. You can actually, the way Shabdakalpadruma describes it is, there are a lot of grains in it. You can have a place where you don't have water, you don't have grass, lot of winds, and too much of sun, but at the same time there is a lot of grains in it. I don't know how that works. But this Bahudanya Samyutaha is not present in the other definition, so I prefer this definition. He says in Bhava Prakasha Nighantu is a work, it is a humongous work. It's a huge work which talks of many different things there. And in the first kandam itself, in the fourth prakarana, which is the Dina Ritu Charya Prakaranam, he starts off with describing different kinds of deshas. The first one is the most fertile desham, which is Anupadesha, where there are a lot of trees and greenery, lush greenery, etc., etc. And then, in contrast, he talks about the Jangala Desha, which is, he describes it as Akasha Shubhraha. Akasha Shubhraha. Clearly, you can see the Akasham in this Desha. Uchchaha, it is also a high plateau kind of thing. Swalpa Paniya Padapaha, trees which need very little water. Swalpa Paniyam, which need very little water. That is, those kind of trees are Shami, Karira, Bilva, Arka, Pilu, Karkandhu, Sankulaha. Sankula is a group of trees which are Shami Vriksham. Shami Vriksham does not need any water or anything. That is, it grows even in the desert. Karira, half of it, I don't know what it is. In California, there are crops which are called drought-resistant crops. It's a key word here. Drought-resistant, that which needs very little water and it can resist drought. It can grow despite drought. If there is a famine and there is no water, no vrishti for many years, still these plants can survive. This is something very similar like that. Or those roots are so deep that it can go down in search of water. And because the water table is so low in those areas, the roots can grow down deep and take the water also. So these trees are found in this Jangala Desha. Shami, Karira, Bilva, Arka, Pilu, Karkandhu. The Mrigam, the animals that are found in this Desha are Harina, Ena, Riksha. Harina, Ena are two types of deer. Riksha is bear. Prishata is also another kind of deer, spotted deer. Gokarna, Khara or Gokarna is a kind of cow. Khara is Gardaba, donkeys or asses, right? So these are kind of animals that are found there. At the same time, Suswadu Phalavan, there are also fruits from these. We get amazing, delicious dates from deserts. So it is something more suitable for a desert area. This definition is definitely closer to what we know. So Swadu Phalavan, it also has very tasty fruits. Deshaha, Vatalaha, a lot of windy areas are present here. That is, you have these sandstorms and all that in deserts, right? At the same time, you have some greenery also. So this is called Jangala Desha. Another reference that you have in history is Rajputs. The Rajputana clan in Rajasthan have also been known as Jangala Deshiyaha. The name was very popular in the inscriptions. You will find the name Jangala being referred to for Rajput clan kings. And so it coincides with the desert area that we have today. Right? So this, he reduced the entire forest like, you know, Nilakanta Dikshita sometimes gives me a lot of hard work here. He could have written Marubhumi. My work would have been very simple here. But he had to give a word which I had to find somewhere, and luckily koshas exist today and Google search is so easy that it has made my work very simple. So apitad vipinam sandram Ajnata Aloka Sankatham Shasanat Pandyan Rapatehe Jatam Jangalavat Kshanat. It's also difficult with Google search. You have so much information available. You have to pick and choose also. Right? In 88, we'll finish with this shloka. Tapanendu karalidhe tasmin dishtya vanodare brahmacharyam jahuschakraha durbhikshancha chakorikaha. We already saw about how the Chakora birds and the Chakravaka birds were fighting with each other, right? Chanchwa Chanchi. They were hitting each other with the beaks and they were fighting for something. Right? Here he brings in those two birds again and say, they are now very happy, it seems. They are not at all fighting. The Chakravaka birds left their brahmacharyam, and the Chakora birds left their hunger fast. Now, what is this? Chakravaka birds do not like moonlight because, sorry, they do not like night. They want at least a little bit of light, because during the night they cannot, they have night blindness. They will be with their spouses, but on different sides. Even if the spouse is very nearby, the Chakravaka bird will keep on shouting because it cannot see where she is, and so it will experience virahatapam during the night. This is chakra bird. And so it is in brahmacharya vratam. So it is observing brahmacharya vratam or celibacy during night, because it cannot see where its mate is. Now that this entire forest has been reduced to taru shunya pradesham, there are no big huge trees and all that which can block lights. The Chandra Surya Kiranam falls there even late during the night, and then Chandra Kiranam also comes in, so that Vanapradesham now was well lit, both during the day and during the night. Now, these Chakora birds, if they cannot, they live only with the Kaumudi, that is the moonlight. Their Aharam is Kaumudi. If the Kaumudi is absent, that is, if the Vanam is very thick, then even moonlight could not penetrate. We saw in the earlier Shloka, Ajnata Aloka Sankatham iti tadvipinasya visheshanataya drishtam asmabihi. So, atra, now that it had been reduced, all the trees had been taken away, the light could come very easily and satisfy the hunger of Chakorika. Durbhiksham, the hunger, or Durbhiksham nale, it is usually famine. So the famine of the Chakorika birds were also not present, were left. That is, they let go of their Durbhikshatvam, their என்ன சொல்றது, their hunger-னு எடுத்துக்கலாம், or you can say அந்த ஒரு misery because of not eating, that they left jahuhu. They stopped that also because the light could come very easily and they had their food in the form of moonlight. Tapana indu kara alidhe tasmin vanodare vana udaram. The interiors of the forest now was alidha. Alidha is touched or spread with indukara. Tapana and indukara. Kara is kiranam. Tapana surya, indu chandra. Surya chandrayoho kiranaihi alidham vanam. Vanasya udaram. So vanasya udaram tu tatra sprishtam asit suryasya kiranaihi indu kiranaihi cha. Tasmat tatra prakashasya adhikyam asit. तर्हि चक्राः चक्रवाकपक्षिणः ब्रह्मचर्यं जहुः. They let go of their celibacy, brahmacharya. So there was so much of light, they knew where their spouses were, their mates were, and they happily stayed with them. Chakorikaha, more than durbhiksham, there is also another word, durbhikshatvam chakorikaha, jahuhu, jahati lets go, adadu tyajati, तस्य लिट्लकारे बहुवचनं, प्रथमपुरुष बहुवचनं. सो चक्राः ब्रह्मचर्यं, चकोरिकाः दुर्भिक्षं च जहुः. Both these birds let go of their vratam here. One let go of the brahmacharya vratam, the other let go of their durbhikshatvam, which is not having any food to eat at all. Is that clear? So tapanendu karalidhe तस्मिन् दिष्ट्या वनोदरे ब्रह्मचर्यं जहुश्चक्राः दुर्भिक्षञ्च चकोरिकाः. Raise your hands if you have any doubts. Namaste.
Yes, ma'am. அந்த அந்தர் அது எக்ஸாக்ட்டா எப்படி ஃபிட் ஆகுது, என்ன அர்த்தம் வருதுங்க? அந்தஹித்தம்னா டிஸப்பியர் ஆகுது. அந்தர் அதத்த அதனே எஸ் மேடம். அது ஓகே, ஒரு நிமிஷம்.
அந்தரதத்த அந்த அந்தர்தானம்னு சொல்றோம் இல்லையா,
அந்தர்தானம் திரோதானம் மறையறது.
அந்த தானம்ங்கிறது வந்து இஸ் அ தா தாத்து, அதனுடைய ஃபார்மேஷன் தான் இங்க இருக்கு. ஒரு நிமிஷம். அதத்தங்கிறது ஐ திங்க் இஸ் இன் வாட் லகாரம், அது நானே சர்ச் பண்ணி தான் சொல்லணும், கூகுள் சர்ச் தான் எனக்கு.
ஜெமினி சாட்பாட் கூட நல்லா ஆன்சர் பண்ணது மேடம்.
லங் லகாரம் தான். அப்பா எனக்கு இந்த லங் அண்ட் லுங் இஸ் ஆல்வேஸ் அ பிட் ஆஃப் அ கன்ஃபியூஷன் ஃபார் மீ. அதனால அதை அப்பப்போ பார்த்துப்பேன். அந்தர் அதத்த இஸ் சரியா இல்லையே, லங் லகார அந்தர் அதாத்தன் இருக்கணும். சாரி சாரி, ஆத்மநேபதி தத்தே இருக்கு இல்லையா, ததே தத்தே ததாதே தததே, அது தட் இஸ் த லட் லகாரா. Adatta is the lung form of this Atmanepadam.
Okay, okay. So Antaradattana, it is also meaning disappearing.
Disappearing. So Antaha அப்படின்னா இன்சைடுங்கிறோம் இல்லையா. So something that is completely going inside, disappearing ன்னு அர்த்தம்.
Okay. Yes.
Any other doubts?
Well, I'm just curious to know if that Janglavat is the word that, turned to jungle.
Ama, actually there is another word, or there is another meaning to it also, where Jangala is rural. Jangala is means that it is in the wild animals, rural irukakudi animals, those you call it. So adnala jungle could have come from there. Jangli nutu idula, there is a word in Hindi also, right? Jangli abdingrom. It is the same thing. Jangli na one who belongs to the one who is uncouth madri, no, not refined abdingra arthathla. But either different, you can have different meanings for the same word. Adu vera idu vera. Okay,
namaste mahoday.
Namaste.
samana chintanam mamapi apte madhye rural iti pictures evam asti. jungle ityeva chintanam asti. Punah
apdi irundha the jungle became a jungle na, it won't fit here, right? So
एतद् वृक्षाणां कर्तनेन तद् प्लेन् प्रदेशम् अभवत् इति स्वीकुर्मः वा?
Yes, taru shunya pradesham iti uktam. I think Ganapati Shastri, who has edited this text, he has given small notes for certain words which are very different. So for this he gives the meaning of taru shunya pradeshah iti.
यतः इदानीं गृहनिर्माणं कुर्मश्चेदपि पूर्वं एवं कण्ठसस्यानि भवन्ति किल, कण्टकानि, तत् सर्वं निष्कास्य अनन्तरं तथा
मध्ये you will find one huge tree in the middle. Adu chutti we can't build a house, right? So first thing is they will cut that tree.
पुनः पुरः इति द्विवारम् आगतं किल, श्लोकसङ्ख्या पुनरुक्तिः न भवति वा?
पुनः तत्र it is a different meaning la, and the verb shlokam in
स्वप्नेक्षितः पुरः प्रभोः पुरः.
It is a different meaning. It is a prasa, antyaprasam madri adu, but the meaning is different. So I think it is called an antya yamakam edo. So yamaka is where there is a
repetition.
Repetition. Oh, illa இங்க வந்து சித்தஹ புரஹ ஆகத்ய ஸ்வப்ன ஈக்ஷிதஹ சஹ அதுனா சாக்ஷாத் ஆகத்ய இதி. You take it as சாக்ஷாத் ஆகத்ய, whereas here பிரபோஹ புரஹ இதி சேத் தஸ்ய அக்ரதஹ இதி, தஸ்ய சாநித்யே ஏவ.
प्रथम पुरः पूर्वं दृष्टः इति अर्थे
न இல்ல அப்படி எடுத்துக்காதீங்க. முதல்ல வந்து சஹ புரஹ ஆகத்ய அக்ரே ஆகத்ய இதி, ஆர் சாக்ஷாத் ஆகத்ய. சாக்ஷாத் பிரத்யக்ஷம் ஆகத்ய இதி. तदनन्तरं प्रभोः पुरः इति चेत् नृपस्य सन्निधौ इत्यर्थः। तदपि अग्रे इत्येव, परन्तु यु टेक् इट् एस् सन्निधौ इत्यर्थः। Then the meaning changes.
ईश्वरस्य दर्शनात् परमपि कार्यं करणीयम् इति चिन्तयति किल पुरकर्मणि
This pura is nagara karma.
अवगतम्, किन्तु ईश्वरस्य दर्शनात् परं किमपि करणीयम् इति चिन्तनं भवति वा
इति वा?
तमेव पश्यन्तु, इदानीम् अम्बां पश्यामश्चेत् तत्र ततः अपसर्तुमेव इच्छा न भवति किल अस्माकं, तथा
அதாவது she doesn't give us any orders here, but Parameshwara has given an order for him. So she has to do it.
तादृश जनमेव सः आदिशति, मादृशान्
இவாளால ஒன்றும் பண்ண முடியாது, இது வெறும் பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கட்டும்னு விட்டுருப்பாரு.
अस्तु, प्रयत्नेन जाङ्गलपदस्य एवम् अन्विष्य महोदय वदति, मरुप्रदेश इति वदति चेदपि अस्माकं चिन्ता नास्ति, वयं किमपि न जानीमः। यथा
எனக்கு சௌரியமா இருந்திருக்கும். It would have been easier for me if he had done another word. He had to bring in some word for me to look at kosham. இதெல்லாம் வந்து it's an vocabulary exercise for me also.
अस्माकं लाभाय.
ஏன்னா மறுபூமினா கம்ப்ளீட்டா டெசர்ட் ஆயிடும், எதுவுமே வளராது. ஆங்கலம்னு சொல்லும் பொழுது புதர் மண்டிய காடுகள்னு சொல்றாங்க, உயரமான மரங்கள் எதுவும் இருக்காது. இந்த முந்திரி காடு,
திருப்பி சொல்லுங்க,
மரங்கள்லாம் நிறைய இருக்கும்.
என்ன
மண்டிய காடுகள்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, புதர் காடுகள்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. அது உயரமான மரமா இருக்காது, முந்திரி செடியெல்லாம் மாதிரி. அதே மாதிரி அங்க வந்து கிரீன் இருக்கும், ஆனா உயரமான மரம் இருக்காது. அங்க முயல், நரி இந்த மாதிரி மிருகங்கள்லாம் இருக்கும். பாலைவனத்துல எதுவுமே இருக்காது. So there's a big difference between these two lands.
Okay, otherwise if it was a complete desert, he could not have built a city there because water க்கு என்ன பண்ணுவா அப்புறம் இல்லையா? Okay, that's a valid point.
अपि तथा अस्ति, इत्युक्ते एम्प्टी सैट् तत्र शशाः सन्ति, रात्रौ आगच्छन्ति, कालः तु नास्ति, शशाः सन्ति.
Okay,
धन्यवादः महोदय.
Okay. नमः सुन्दरनाथाय तस्मै हालास्य वासिने चतुष्षष्टि विधालीला येनाकारी भुवस्थले श्रीमत् सुन्दरनाथस्य देवीं शपरलोचनां कलये हृदये नित्यं कदम्ब वनवासिनी।